with this, this is traumatic experience. But really, after watching this movie, this should be traumatized. Although I'm sure there's probably some other YouTube series somewhere,
Oh
or
yeah, yeah,
something called traumatized. So we'll stick with what we got. Traumatic
yeah.
experience, where the whole premise of this series is basically we're going through the Troma movie archives, picking them at random, and just having a good time with them. And this is debatable whether this was a good time or not. Although I think we'll probably
Yeah.
have more fun talking about it here for the next 10 minutes or so than we did watching it. The first,
True. Yeah, yeah. It definitely wasn't as fun as Toxic Avenger.
yeah, that's what I was about to say. The first one we did was the Toxic Avenger, and I think we warned even back when we saw that one, like, you know what, it might be downhill from here. And this, I'm sure there's other really good ones we'll find along the way, and maybe our next one we'll tease at the end. We'll tell you what that's going to be. Maybe that'll be a little bit more fun. It's got to be better than this, right? But
Oh yeah.
we are here to watch and talk about Hollywood Zap. I'd never even heard of this movie.
No, me either. Me, not at all. I mean, I didn't even know it was a thing.
Boy, this is something else, right?
First of all, when you see the title, Hollywood's at, when you see the I don't know if there was a poster for it necessarily,
There is.
screen grab of it or whatever of the title, the first thing that pops out in my mind was that Hollywood Zap, ZAP, and the font style they used for it looks like the movie Zapped from back in 1983, right? I believe it was
82, I think it was.
82,
Yeah.
82 with Scott Baio. So it looked like that font style of Zap, like electric lightning bolts, whatever. And you're like, Hollywood Zap, what the hell is this? And one of the good things you could say about it, and we've said this for some other movies, is at least the credits were kind of cool.
Yeah.
The credits,
Yeah.
it starts off with somebody putting a quarter in an arcade game, and then all of a sudden the credits start popping up on the screen, and it's like a animation of like a video game where this thing, and you'll find out what it is later. And I can't remember the name of it right now, but I think it was called Punk something. I don't remember what it was though. Do you remember the name on this device that this guy had that we'll
Oh,
talk about when we get
punk puncher or something.
Punk Puncher? Something,
What the hell is
something
that thing?
weird
It's
like
like a
that.
stapler or something. I don't know what
Yeah,
that is.
yeah. I don't know. Well, it's in this video game credit sequence
Yeah.
too, because it's like this Pac-Man sort of
Yeah.
looking thing where it's this, on the screen it looks like kind of like a cross between Pac-Man and Audrey from Little Shop of Horrors, right?
Yeah.
And it's like eating people, like there's, and 8-bit. Well, it's not even really 8-bit. It's made to look like a video game or whatever, but it just looks like animation of a video game. So it's like these character video game people walking across the screen, and this Audrey looking Pac-Man eating the people and spitting out the names of the credits or whatever.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool. And then it's got the synth soundtrack underneath it, 80s, typical 80s soundtrack. And then what it comes out into, I forget even what the movie proper was when it came out of the credits. But I was kind of enjoying the credits, and I'm
I
like, oh,
think it's
maybe this
right.
will be all right.
And then the movie starts. Oh no.
The movie
Well,
started. I'm like,
I think it's
oh,
like you immediately get introduced to the main character Downer.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Tucker Downer Downs. I think you kind of
Tucker
see
down.
his kind of sad sack life or whatever, and that he's looking for his dad. I mean, really, that's the simplest way to explain this movie is that this guy is kind of his mom died. He's kind of just a nerdy dude, and his dad left him and his mom when he was young, and so now he's on a quest to find his dad. That's like 90% of the movie. And then there's this
Yeah.
other subplot where he meets this guy named Nash when he goes out to LA because apparently that's where his dad went. And this guy is I guess for lack of a better, he's a video game hustler, right? Like,
Yeah, I was thinking that like you've seen pool sharks, movies of and things with doing with pool sharks, but yeah, this guy's a arcade game hustler where he
but
acts like he can't play Zaxxon, so he's like, what is this game? Oh, Zaxxon, what is that? And he only play it, boom, boom, and he crashes into the wall, and then the guy who's somewhat good at it's like, oh, why don't you put some money down on it, old man, or whatever, and then then he's, oh, okay, boom, 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 and then he just like tears it up or whatever, and then the guy walks off with it, and he's got his $100.
and this should say a lot. One of the weirder aspects, and I think that speaks volumes. The weirder aspects of his character is that every time he pops up, it's like he's dressed as something different for some reason. I guess it's part of the hustler
So yeah,
persona, but like it doesn't make any sense to what's going on in the movie. Like he shows up, he shows up at first, he's just like kind of a regular guy with like a old LA Dodgers hat on. Then the next time you see him, he's dressed like a Hasidic Jew, you know, and then the and then the next time he's dressed like a Hare Krishna or something, right? And
Yeah, and there's one in there where he had a do rag on and like parachute pants or something. I think.
Yeah, it's like it's weird, but because it makes no sense as to what's going on, and he's got this girl with him. What's her name? Tutu or TT or whatever her name is.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what her name is.
TT, that's her
She's
name.
like an '80s punk, new wave punk type.
Yeah, like she just it's really kind of like unexplained whether she's a prostitute or his girlfriend, but she's always around.
Yeah.
And then once again, we don't go into full spoilers here, just minor spoilers, but I don't want to give away the ending. But the ending, what the hell? That came that came out of nowhere as far as like TT is concerned and stuff. It's like, what? Wait a minute. It did not end the way I thought it was going to end.
Yeah, all together, like a lot of it, like the
No,
regular ending
although
and then the credit sequence ending. Like
I'll be honest with you, just knowing what I know about Troma, right?
Yeah.
And the way the movie was going, I kind of figured the part out with his dad. I was like, I know where this is probably going. And then sure enough, and I don't want to ruin it for you. So we're not going to say. You need to watch it to find out. But I kind of saw that one coming. I was like, all right, yeah, there we go. Although I didn't see I will say that once again, minor spoiler, the church part of it. I was like, huh? Okay. There, there's something that, this was written and directed by David Cohen, who we looked at basically he only has 3 credits. This, oh God, what was a movie called The Treasure? And then Friday the 13th, A New Beginning. He was one of the writers on that. So somehow, a year after that, he makes this, and then just that one movie in '90, and then he's gone forever.
It was particularly strange, just the way that the story plot elements and the way it developed was even for Troma, it was strange, but not in the typical Troma way of strange.
Yeah,
it was just
odd.
Just oddities happening. Like, what the hell is even going on right here? Or like the whole thing we talked about with the Pac-Man / punk puncher. The weapon, Nash has it and he owns it. It's like some sort of weapon that everybody's scared of for some reason, but it's just like a plastic toy. It's almost like a giant version of the shark. The shark thing with the little trigger that you push in the shark's mouth or alligator or whatever.
It kind of chops at people like tap 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 tap, and it's like this, like tap, 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 tap. and it makes like a razor noise, like an electric razor noise, like. So, I don't know what it's supposed to do if it actually did. Like, I don't know. I guess it bites you, cuts you. I don't know what this weapon does.
I know, but people were scared of it like it was like it was an AK or something.
And they had seen this weapon before and knew what it could do. So they're like, whoa, back up, buddy. Like, what? One of the things that we saw when we first rolled the wheel and this movie, was presented to us, was that we saw that, and just trying to find a copy of the movie. In some places, it was known as Porky's 4. Now, what? Because the only connection or only comparison whatsoever you would get to Porky's is that the big fat dude, Chuck Mitchell, which was the lawyer in this movie, was Porky, right? Wasn't that the guy that was Porky in Porky?
Yeah, but he's only in this movie for a very minor scene for like 2 minutes, maybe a screen time or something.
3 minutes max. That's it.
Yeah.
So how they could get this in any country or any place as Porky's 4 is a stretch to say the least.
Oh, definitely. That was strictly because they had him and they could plaster his face on a poster and call it Porky's 4.
Once again, no spoilers, but there's another sub thread where the Nash guy, who's like a video game hustler, is trying to find this other guy that is like the high score in Zaxxon.
Oh, yeah.
And his name is Zap. So that's another subplot of like Downer is trying to find his dad. Nash is trying to find this guy Zap so he could beat his best score. And then the way that pays off, it's like, it's just, I think that's the weirdest part of the movie is that the payoffs are weird.
Yeah.
It's like they had an idea for something and then like got to the, oh shit, how do we end this? It's like a bad SNL skit or something like, oh God, we don't know how to end this. Just walk out. That's it. Just walk out. Roll the credits. Although the end credits were kind of at least it kept you hanging around a little bit. The end credits.
Oh yeah. The end credits. Little credit roll sequence at the end. Yeah,
pictures and stuff. Yeah, so like you said, the beginning credits and the end credits. I think It's just that pesky movie in between.
Yeah, the best parts of the in between stuff for me, my enjoyment of was the arcade scenes.
Yeah.
When they go in the arcade, and you see all the Defender and Zaxxon and Tron and intercut scenes of that stuff.
Which to that, this is because there's not a lot of information about this movie out there. Surprise, surprise. But one thing I did find, this is straight off of Wikipedia, so you can go to that Hollywood Zap Wikipedia page for more. But it says in 2001, this film was featured at the first annual video game festival to examine gaming's impact on media and culture. Described as being "quote unquote" historically significant, this movie was sponsored by Twin Galaxies Intergalactic Scoreboard, the official international electronic scoreboard for video games. So, and they reference that in the movie. Remember the Twin Galaxies thing where the scores of Zaxxon or whatever. So, yeah, apparently this has some video game historical significance to it. Just off of that.
I mean, like I said, I can see. I mean, it's got some classic video games in it, but I would think there'd have been plenty of other movies that they could have picked, over this one. Like, I don't know, any number.
Like I was about to say, any movie that ever had a video game in it. I don't know. I guess now's a good a time as any to go ahead and give our final rating on it. Now we kind of do a consensus score on this. We'll talk it out just for a second, but for this one, we don't do a star rating. No, we've got the patented Melvin score, Melvin scale, I should say, here for TROMAtic EXPERIENCE. So when we did the Toxic Avenger, that's kind of the quote unquote creme de la creme of Trump. So we gave that one 5 out of 5 Melvin. So that's probably about as obviously that is as high as it's going to get here with 5 Melvin. So based on that, what do you think about this one?
We just starting the show with the second episode. The only thing we have to rate it against is the Toxic Avenger. And as we talked about, as you mentioned offline, that our knowledge of Troma, which is somewhat limited between us, between all of us doing the show, we've seen a handful or more than a handful, maybe for some of us, of Troma films, but by no means have we seen all of them or even the majority of them. So I personally don't know. I don't think this is going to be the bottom of the barrel of the worst of Troma films out there, but I mean, it was definitely not the most entertaining of the ones I've seen. I've seen lots more that are better than, but I don't know that we should go all the way to the bottom for it to the one, Melvin. But what do you think?
I'm thinking maybe based on what we've seen so far, what we know about Troma and everything. I'm saying, well, let's be a little generous here and give it 2 Melvins.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah. Give it 2, and then we'll, we make the rules, right? So we reserve rejudgment one of these days if we find some, that are better or worse. I'm sure we'll find better, maybe not a lot worse. We'll find out, but it's not like an inherently horrible movie. It's just an odd movie, so it's kind of hard to say like that it wasn't. It's not that it wasn't entertaining, because there is some entertainment here. It's just that the payoffs are weird. The ending, some of the way things are played out is odd. So it's like the end just kind of happens, so like as a movie, it's not good, but as far as like grading it on a Troma scale, I think 2 out of 5 Melvins is pretty fair.
Yeah. Because, like it's written as a comedy, but a lot of those jokes, like you said, either they pay off weird or they don't pay off at all.
Yeah.
Or some of them come out stupid, and you get a few that are actually funny. But the enjoyment that you get out of this movie is not going to be the comedy element so much as it is just the sort of oddballness and the, as I mentioned, the arc. If you're not a gamer fan, I mean, I'm not a big gamer as far as like the modern era, but I do love some classic games, and so I love seeing classic arcade consoles and movies from this era. So there's that. If you're arcade game fan, then you'll have that element that you'll definitely, that'll hold your interest to the movie.
I think, overall there's some fun there, but overall it's just so weird that it's, I guess as we go further along, we'll be able to further say where this one falls, in the pecking order of things. But for now, we'll just leave it there and say this ain't nearly as good as the Toxic Avenger. I think that's not going out on a limb, but so yeah, next month we'll come back for Video Vortex, because we switched this series out with Video Vortex. So next on the rotation will be the next Video Vortex. But the next time you come back to TROMAtic EXPERIENCE in 2 months, we're going to be watching Tromeo and Juliet from 1996. Now this one's interesting because it was directed by, of course, Lloyd Kaufman, but it was written by one of the biggest wheelers and dealers in Hollywood today, none other than James Gunn. So this is probably one a lot of people, especially fans of James Gunn, have probably seen and heard of, but this is probably one of the more well-known ones, just simply because it was James Gunn that did it. So this should be interesting. And
yeah, I've seen this one before, but you said you haven't yet, right?
yeah, no, I've never seen it. I've heard of it because of those reasons that I said, but I've never sat down and watched it. So first time watch for me, and then hopefully we get Will and or Donnie on to talk about it. But yeah, we'll find out how that one comes in a couple months. So I guess that's it. So for Will and Donnie, that couldn't be with us, Professor Smoke, I'm Josh. We're from the All American Spook Show podcast, which comes out every Monday at 6 p.m. East. Don't forget to go check out aaspookshow.com and stick around here on the YouTube channel for all the other cool stuff we got going on. So we'll talk to you next time.
Where'd you come from, fella? Come on, get out of here. You move on now.
Look, I'm sorry, son, but you gotta get me to a toilet. I got a gut full of shit and I'm gonna burst.